In the vast reaches of the galaxy, where countless stars shimmered like the lights of a faraway city, the Galactic Empire ruled supreme. Their ships, massive and imposing, drifted through the void as symbols of strength, while their soldiers and fleets brought civilizations to heel. They were feared across the cosmos, and none dared challenge them. For centuries, they had marched from one star system to the next, conquering every planet that lay in their path. It was a time when the Empire had no equals. Their might was absolute. They had wiped out entire species that had dared to resist them, and their territories stretched beyond what even they had imagined. The Empire had seen itself as invincible, their leaders untouchable, their warriors unstoppable. But as they advanced toward a seemingly insignificant corner of the galaxy, they were about to face a challenge they had not expected. On the pale blue planet known as Earth, humans had lived in isolation for centuries. Their world had been quiet, untouched by the grand conflicts of the galaxy. Earth had no allies, no advanced technology, and no fleets of mighty ships to defend it. For the longest time, humanity had been unaware of the galaxy's ongoing wars and conflicts, simply existing on their small planet, oblivious to the larger universe beyond. But that was about to change. A small exploratory ship, sent by the humans to explore their solar system's farthest reaches, made a discovery. In the dark of space, a strange signal, one unlike anything Earth had ever picked up, had been intercepted. A convoy of ships, far larger and more powerful than any humans had ever seen, was moving toward Earth. The humans had been warned. For years, Earth had kept itself hidden, allowing no outsiders to know of their existence. But now, the time had come to face the inevitable. The ship's crew sent a warning to the planet's leaders, a warning that would soon spread across the entire world. The Galactic Empire was coming, and there was no way to stop them. But the humans were not as helpless as they seemed. The humans knew they were outmatched. They knew that they didn't stand a chance against an empire that had conquered so many others. But what they did have, what no one else could take from them, was their will to fight. They were resourceful, determined, and above all, they were united. As the news spread, humans gathered in their millions, preparing for a battle they didn't fully understand but knew they had to fight. It wasn't just their survival at stake. It was the survival of their entire species. The leaders of the world came together, not to discuss surrender, but to devise a plan. Earth's military forces, though smaller and less advanced than those of the Empire, began to organize. In every country, people began to train, prepare, and form alliances. It didn't matter that they didn't have fleets of starships or powerful weapons. They would stand together. They had something more powerful than anything the Empire could ever understand: the strength of human spirit. The Empire, meanwhile, paid little attention to the small, insignificant planet known as Earth. To them, Earth was nothing more than a dot on a map, a primitive backwater that would be easily claimed like so many others. The commanders of the Empire laughed at the very idea that humanity could pose any threat. Who were these humans to challenge their dominance? What could they possibly do against an empire with thousands of ships, advanced technology, and unmatched firepower? The Empire sent a message of their own, laughing in the face of Earth's warning. "We are coming for you," it said simply. "Prepare to submit. You have no chance against us. There is no escape." To the Empire, this was simply a matter of time. They had crushed entire civilizations in moments. Earth, they assumed, would be no different. But what the Empire did not know was that the humans had already begun their preparations. The planet's governments, once divided by borders and differences, now stood united. They knew the Empire's power was far beyond their own, but they were determined to fight with everything they had. The war had already begun, and it was not going to end the way the Empire had expected. As the Empire's fleet approached, ready to claim Earth as just another conquered world, the humans made one final statement. A message was sent across the stars, not with threats or boastful claims, but with a simple declaration: "We warned you to run." It was a statement that would echo throughout the galaxy, and the Empire, for all its power, would soon realize that the humans were not the weaklings they had assumed them to be. In the darkness of space, a new force was rising. The Empire had made a grave mistake, and now they would face the consequences of underestimating the one species that had refused to submit. The battle for Earth was only just beginning, and humanity would not go down without a fight. The vastness of space was silent, except for the hum of the Galactic Empire's massive fleet moving steadily toward Earth. The Empire's warships, sleek and powerful, were a sight to behold. They were equipped with the most advanced weaponry the galaxy had ever known. Their shields were impenetrable, their cannons capable of destroying entire cities with a single blast. As the fleet approached Earth, the commanders of the Empire were certain that this would be another easy conquest. Earth had no defenses that could withstand such overwhelming might. However, as the Empire's ships neared the edge of Earth's solar system, they were greeted not by the meek submission they expected, but by something entirely unexpected. A small fleet of human ships appeared on the sensors. They were primitive by Empire standards, nothing more than a handful of tiny vessels. To the Empire's commanders, it was laughable. How could these tiny, insignificant ships pose any threat to the greatest military force the galaxy had ever seen? But what the Empire didn't know was that these ships were far more than they seemed. The humans had prepared in secret, developing technology that had taken the Empire by surprise. The small fleet, made up of Earth's best military and scientific minds, had managed to reverse engineer some of the alien technologies they had recovered from the remnants of previous space exploration missions. Though their ships were not as advanced as the Empire's dreadnoughts, they were far more capable than the Empire had ever imagined. The first strike came suddenly. Without warning, the human ships fired on the Empire's fleet. The Empire's commanders were caught off guard. The small ships didn't have the powerful laser cannons or planet-destroying missiles the Empire was accustomed to facing. Instead, they used advanced electromagnetic pulse, EMP weapons, disabling the Empire's advanced systems with surgical precision. The first shots were not meant to destroy, but to disorient. The Empire's ships, once proud and indestructible, now found themselves vulnerable. Their communications were jammed, their shields flickered and weakened, and their weapon systems began to malfunction. The humans knew the Empire's weaknesses. They had studied their enemies for months, analyzing every possible vulnerability. And now, they were using that knowledge to strike where it hurt the most. The first battle was chaotic. Empire ships scrambled to regain control of their systems, while human ships darted in and out of range, making hit-and-run attacks. Their tactics were unconventional, unpredictable. The humans didn't fight in straight lines like the Empire was used to. Instead, they attacked from unexpected angles, using the asteroid fields and debris around Earth to hide their movements. Every time the Empire thought they had the upper hand, the humans would slip away, only to strike again with more precision. The Empire's fleet, despite its size and strength, was being pushed back. The commanders, who had once believed they were invincible, now found themselves scrambling to regroup. They had expected to crush the humans in moments, but the human fighters were relentless. They fought with a desperation that only those with everything to lose could muster. They fought for their home, for their families, for their survival. One of the Empire's top admirals, known for his ruthless efficiency, watched in disbelief as his fleet was pushed back by the human resistance. "How are they doing this?" he muttered to himself. His officers could only shake their heads, unable to provide an answer. The humans had no right to be this effective. Their ships were smaller, their technology less advanced, and yet they were fighting with a skill and cunning that the Empire hadn't anticipated. Despite the overwhelming odds, the humans held their ground. They didn't have the numbers or the firepower to defeat the Empire outright, but they didn't need to. They were playing a different game. Every strike, every maneuver, was part of a larger plan. They were drawing the Empire in, slowly wearing it down. Back on Earth, as the battle raged in space, humanity held its breath. The news was broadcasted worldwide. People gathered in every city, watching in awe as their planet fought back against the might of an empire that had never known defeat. It was a battle that seemed impossible, yet humanity was giving everything they had. In the Empire's command center, the atmosphere was tense. The commanders couldn't believe what was happening. These humans, they're not supposed to be able to fight like this, one officer said, his voice filled with frustration. We have to end this quickly, before they cause more damage. But it was too late. The humans were not backing down. The first strike had been a warning, a declaration that they would not surrender. It had been a small victory, but it was enough to show the Empire that Earth was not as defenseless as they thought. The Empire, overconfident and underestimating its enemy, had been caught off guard. And now, the humans were determined to show the galaxy that they would not go down without a fight. The first battle ended with no clear victor, but the message was loud and clear. Humanity would not bow to the Empire. They would not run. They would fight, and they would win. The Empire had underestimated them, and now they would face the consequences. The war between the Galactic Empire and humanity had only just begun, yet it was already shaking the foundations of what the Empire had believed was their unchallenged rule. The first battle had been a surprise, a small taste of the unexpected power humans had. But the Empire's commanders knew this was just a small skirmish. They still believed their superior technology would crush Earth's feeble resistance in no time. However, as the conflict dragged on, something began to change. The humans were not retreating, and their small fleet was not backing down. In fact, with each passing day, their attacks grew bolder, and the Empire started to notice something troubling. The humans were getting smarter, more skilled, and their technology was becoming more advanced. It was as if the humans had an endless supply of unexpected innovations. The first indication of this came when the Empire launched a massive counteroffensive, expecting to break the human resistance once and for all. The Empire's fleet, far larger and far more powerful, moved into position, their guns ready to fire. But when they opened fire, something shocking happened. The human ships, which had once seemed so small and vulnerable, suddenly seemed to disappear before the Empire's very eyes. The Empire's sensors could not pick them up. It was as if the humans had vanished into thin air. The Empire's fleet fired wildly, but their shots passed through empty space. The human ships had somehow activated an invisible shield, one that bent light around them, rendering them nearly invisible. The Empire had never seen technology like this before. They had faced cloaking devices in the past, but this was something new, something far more advanced. It was as if the humans had invented a new form of technology, one that bent the laws of physics itself. The Empire's commanders were furious. How is this possible? Admiral Vorn, one of the Empire's finest, shouted as he stared at the empty space where the human ships had been moments before. We must have missed something. They cannot have this technology. It's not possible. The truth was, the humans had managed to reverse engineer the wreckage of old alien ships they had stumbled upon over the years. Through a mix of ingenuity, hard work, and relentless trial and error, humanity had managed to unlock the secrets of advanced technologies that even the Empire didn't fully understand. The humans had taken what they had learned and turned it into something entirely new. But it wasn't just cloaking technology that had the Empire on edge. The humans had developed something even more dangerous, weapons that could disrupt the very power systems of the Empire's ships. The electromagnetic pulses, EMP, that the humans had been using in the early battles were just the beginning. The humans had discovered how to create weapons that could disable a ship's core systems without causing any visible damage. Entire fleets of Empire ships, once thought indestructible, were rendered useless in the blink of an eye. The first major attack using these new EMP weapons came in a surprise strike on a key Empire supply line. The Empire's convoy, moving between two star systems, was suddenly ambushed by the humans. At first, the Empire's ships were confident, expecting the human ships to be easily destroyed. But as the humans moved in, they unleashed a series of EMP blasts that hit the Empire's supply ships. Within seconds, the convoy shields flickered and collapsed, their weapon systems fell silent, and the ship's engines ground to a halt. What followed was a swift and precise strike. The humans attacked the immobilized ships, boarding them and disabling their crew before taking control. The Empire had never faced a fight like this before. They had assumed that their technology, which could wipe out entire fleets, would always guarantee victory. But now, they were learning the hard way that technology alone was not enough. The Empire sent its best engineers and scientists to investigate how the humans were able to disrupt their technology. What they found shocked them. The humans had adapted their own designs, using materials and components that the Empire had overlooked. They had discovered new ways to generate and control energy, which allowed them to create weapons far more advanced than anything the Empire had encountered. The human tech wasn't just based on brute force. It was based on cleverness, resourcefulness, and understanding the weaknesses of the Empire's own technology. In the heart of the Empire's command center, the top brass gathered for a meeting. "We are facing a species that should not exist," Admiral Vorn said, his voice filled with disbelief. "They've done what we thought was impossible. They've taken the very technology we use and turned it against us. How is that possible?" One of the Empire's lead scientists, Dr. Zalin, spoke up, his voice low and grave. "It's clear now. The humans didn't build their technology from the ground up. They've adapted, reverse-engineered, and improved upon what they found. And they've done it in ways we couldn't even imagine. We've underestimated them, Admiral. And now, they're using our own weaknesses against us." As the meeting ended, the Empire's commanders realized the full extent of the threat. The humans weren't just fighting with brute strength or sheer numbers. They were fighting with creativity and innovation, using tactics and technology that no one had ever expected from a species so new to the galactic stage. The battle was no longer just about power. It was about who could outthink and outlast the other. The Empire had believed that the galaxy belonged to them, that their superiority was unquestioned. But now, they were facing an enemy who refused to accept that they were weak. Humanity's ability to adapt and innovate was something the Empire had never encountered before, and it was something that would change the course of the war. As the war between the Galactic Empire and humanity raged on, it became clear that the humans were not going to back down. The Empire, once so confident in its power, now found itself facing an unexpected enemy. The humans had proven time and again that they were capable of more than anyone had thought. But it wasn't just their technology that made them dangerous. It was their tactics. Humans were fierce, resourceful, and relentless, and they fought differently than anything the Empire had seen before. From the start, the humans had used their limited resources and smaller numbers to their advantage. They didn't try to fight the Empire head-on in large-scale battles. Instead, they adopted a strategy of guerrilla warfare. They attacked when and where the Empire least expected it, using the element of surprise to their advantage. The humans knew they could never defeat the Empire in open combat, so they fought smart, hitting key targets and quickly retreating before the Empire could regroup. At first, the Empire underestimated these attacks. They believed that humans would eventually tire out and retreat, unable to keep up with the power of the Empire's vast fleet. But the Empire was wrong. The humans had an unshakable determination to defend their home. They didn't care about overwhelming numbers or massive ships. They cared about survival, and that gave them a strength the Empire couldn't understand. Human ships continued to dart in and out of the Empire's lines, striking supply convoys, attacking military outposts, and sabotaging key infrastructure. Each time the Empire thought it had cornered them, the humans would slip away, leaving behind only chaos. The Empire had spent centuries refining its military strategies, Yet nothing seemed to work against this unpredictable and elusive enemy. One of the Empire's most skilled commanders, General Chris, was assigned to deal with the growing human threat. He was known for his brutal efficiency, and his reputation was built on crushing rebellions across the galaxy. He believed that with enough firepower and a little time, the humans would crumble just like the others. However, Chris quickly learned that the humans were unlike any adversary he had ever encountered. The humans were everywhere, but nowhere at the same time. Chris sent out patrols to track down human ships, only to find empty space where their targets had been moments before. His ships moved in large formations, sweeping through asteroid fields and planets, but the humans always seemed to be one step ahead. The Empire's advanced sensors couldn't detect them in time, and the humans always struck before they could be caught. In one of the most daring attacks, a group of human ships managed to infiltrate an Empire-controlled space station. The station was thought to be impenetrable, heavily guarded and equipped with the Empire's most advanced defenses. But in the dead of night, the humans boarded the station, using their knowledge of the Empire's weaknesses to disable security systems and sabotage the station's vital systems. By the time the Empire realized what had happened, the human attackers had vanished, leaving behind only a wreckage of ruined technology and disrupted operations. The humans were not just fighting with their ships, they were using every advantage they could find. They hacked into Empire communications, feeding false information to confuse the Empire's commanders. They hacked into security systems, causing chaos within the Empire's ranks. They had even begun to turn the Empire's own weapons against them. It was a war of attrition, slowly wearing down the Empire with every attack, every trick, every surprise. As the attacks continued, the Empire's fleet was stretched thin. The once proud warships of the Empire, which had been so feared, were now spread out across the galaxy, trying to respond to the growing number of human skirmishes. No matter how many ships the Empire sent, there always seemed to be more humans waiting in the shadows. The humans had found their rhythm. Their strikes were well-coordinated, efficient, and devastating. Back on Earth, the war was more than just a military struggle. It was a rallying cry for the human spirit. People from every corner of the planet joined the fight, whether on the front lines or in support roles. Every man, woman, and child understood that this was a fight for survival, and they would not let their planet fall. The human resolve became the backbone of the war effort, and it fueled every attack, every maneuver, every victory. The human forces may have been small, but they were united by a common cause. They were defending their homes, their families, and their future. They fought for every inch of ground, for every breath they could take in the face of the Empire's onslaught. And with every victory, the humans grew bolder. They were no longer just reacting to the Empire's moves. They were dictating the terms of the war. General Chris, frustrated and exhausted by the human resistance, found himself increasingly at odds with his superiors. "We need to crush them now," he argued, "before they can rally more forces. If we don't act quickly, they will outsmart us again." But it was clear to him that the Empire's usual tactics were no match for the humans. They couldn't be controlled by conventional strategies. The Empire had tried to fight fire with fire, but it wasn't working. The humans fought with a kind of heart and spirit that the Empire had never encountered. It was becoming more and more evident. The humans weren't just fighting to survive. They were fighting to win. And the Empire, despite its overwhelming power, had never faced an enemy quite like this. The relentless guerrilla war had begun to turn the tide. The Empire's confidence was starting to crack, and the humans were gaining ground, inch by inch. The Galactic Empire had underestimated humanity, and it was beginning to realize just how costly that mistake had been. The Galactic Empire had long believed its power was unmatched. For centuries, it had swept across the galaxy, conquering countless planets and extinguishing any form of resistance. But as the war with humanity dragged on, cracks began to appear in the Empire's once invincible armor. The humans had proven themselves time and again, showing resilience, cleverness, and a relentless will to survive. And now, the humans were ready to take their fight to the next level. In the heart of the Empire, General Chris and his commanders were growing desperate. The small but persistent human resistance had thrown off their every attempt to crush them. Their tactics were unlike anything the Empire had faced before. The humans didn't fight by the rules of war the Empire had established. They fought with resourcefulness, adaptability, and an unshakable determination to protect their planet. Despite their losses, the Empire was still a formidable force, and they would not give up easily. But something had shifted. The Empire's fleet, stretched thin by guerrilla strikes and sabotage, was beginning to lose its grip on the situation. The once perfectly synchronized war machine of the Empire was starting to break apart. Their supply lines were damaged, their command systems were constantly under attack, and their fleets were scattered, unable to respond quickly to the growing threat of the human resistance. Meanwhile, on Earth, humanity had begun to realize something crucial. They had not only survived the Empire's first wave, they had adapted. The initial shock of facing such overwhelming power had given way to a sense of purpose. People from all corners of the Earth had come together, pooling their knowledge, resources, and creativity to launch a counteroffensive of their own. The human resistance, which had once seemed small and insignificant compared to the Empire's vast military might, now had the advantage of unity. They were no longer fighting alone. Every nation, every city, every community had contributed to the effort, sending fighters, engineers, scientists, and soldiers to the front lines. Humanity's strength lay in its unity and its ability to come together in the face of a common enemy. The humans had spent months preparing for this moment. They had been using every available resource to build their technology, upgrade their ships, and improve their tactics. The reverse-engineered alien technology had become a crucial part of their arsenal, and they had developed new weapons that were beginning to turn the tide of the war. In secret labs around the world, brilliant minds had been working tirelessly to develop new strategies and weapons that could defeat the Empire once and for all. One of the most important breakthroughs came from the development of a new type of energy weapon. The Empire's warships were heavily shielded, and their weapons were capable of devastating entire planets. But the humans had discovered a weakness, an energy signature that the Empire's ships could not defend against. By using a new type of energy weapon, the humans could bypass the Empire's shields and strike directly at the heart of their ships. It was a game changer, and the human fleet was ready to test it. The time for a decisive counteroffensive had arrived. Humanity's fleet, equipped with the new energy weapons, moved into position. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and still fighting an enemy that vastly outclassed them in every way. But they were no longer afraid. They had faced the worst the Empire had to offer and had survived. Now, they would make their stand. The first major battle of the counteroffensive took place in the heart of the Empire's territory. The human fleet, a mixture of hastily built ships and older models retrofitted with the new weapons, emerged from the darkness of space. The Empire's commanders were caught off guard. They had assumed that the humans were still scattered, incapable of launching any kind of coordinated assault. But they were wrong. The humans launched their attack with precision. Their ships used the cover of asteroid fields and debris to move in unnoticed. The Empire's ships, which had once been the dominant force in the galaxy, were now being blindsided by a relentless and coordinated assault. The new energy weapons cut through the Empire's shields like a hot knife through butter, and the Empire's ships were vulnerable to the human onslaught. Admiral Vorn, watching from the command deck of his flagship, struggled to understand what was happening. How could they have developed these weapons so quickly? He muttered to himself, "We thought we destroyed their technology. How are they doing this?" The truth was, the humans had not only survived, they had thrived. They had taken the lessons of the past and used them to create something far greater than the Empire could have imagined. The humans fought not just for victory, but for their survival, and it made them stronger than anything the Empire had ever faced. The battle raged on for hours, with the Empire's ships slowly falling one by one. The humans' tactics, combined with their superior weaponry, were beginning to break the Empire's resolve. For the first time since the war began, it seemed as though the tide was turning. The Empire's fleet, once thought invincible, was now in full retreat. Back on Earth, the news spread like wildfire. People watched as their fleet, small as it was, began to win. The human spirit, once thought to be fragile and easily crushed, was showing its true power. It wasn't just the technology or the weapons that made the humans dangerous. It was their heart, their unwavering belief that they would not be defeated. The Empire, though still powerful, began to realize the full scope of the threat that humanity represented. They had underestimated the humans for far too long. But now, they would learn the hard way that the will of a species fighting for survival was not something to be taken lightly. As the battle came to a close, the humans had won a decisive victory. The Empire's fleet had been broken, and the survivors were forced to retreat. But this was only the beginning. The war was far from over, and the humans had just proven that they were no longer the underdogs. They had become a force to be reckoned with, and the Empire's greatest challenge was only just beginning. The victory at the Empire's stronghold was a turning point, but the war was far from over. Humanity's counteroffensive had caught the Empire by surprise, and the damage to their fleet was severe. But the Empire was not a force that could be defeated so easily. The loss of one battle, even a significant one, did not shake their confidence. Instead, it made them angry. The Empire, with its centuries of dominance, was determined to reclaim its position as the supreme power in the galaxy. And so, it began to regroup, preparing for a retaliation like no one had seen before. General Chris, furious at the defeat, was tasked with leading the Empire's next wave of attacks. He was known for his strategic genius, and he was determined to strike back with a vengeance. The humans had hurt the Empire's pride, and now it was time to remind them who they were dealing with. The Empire began assembling an even larger fleet, one that would overwhelm the human resistance and crush their newfound hope. This time, however, the Empire would not take any chances. They had learned from their previous mistakes and were making sure their ships were better prepared for the humans' advanced weaponry. New shielding technology was installed, and their weaponry was upgraded to ensure that no human vessel could survive a direct hit. Back on Earth, the humans knew that their victory was only temporary. They had won a battle, but they had not yet won the war. The Empire's retaliation was expected, and the resistance was hard at work preparing for the next phase of the conflict. Humanity's ingenuity, which had been key to their initial success, would be tested once again. They could not afford to relax, not with the Empire's massive fleet preparing to strike. The human leaders met in secret, planning their next move. They knew that they could not continue to rely on hit-and-run tactics alone. They needed to come up with a plan that would strike at the heart of the Empire's power, weakening their hold on the galaxy once and for all. But how? The Empire's fleet was vast, and its new technologies made it even more dangerous. After weeks of planning, the humans came up with a bold idea. They would infiltrate the Empire's command center, its heart, and disable its ability to coordinate its vast forces. The plan was risky, and the stakes were incredibly high. If the humans failed, the Empire would retaliate with all its might, and the war would be over for good. The mission would require precision, stealth, and teamwork. A small team of elite human operatives was selected to carry out the plan. They were the best of the best: soldiers, engineers, hackers, and spies. Their task was to infiltrate the Empire's flagship and sabotage its communication systems. If they could sever the Empire's ability to communicate, it would throw the entire fleet into disarray. The team, led by Commander Alana Reyes, was briefed on the dangers they would face. The Empire's flagship was heavily guarded, and the ship itself was a fortress. But Alana and her team were ready. They had trained for months, learning everything they could about the Empire's technology, defenses, and tactics. They were prepared to face the impossible, to risk everything for the chance to turn the tide of the war. The team infiltrated the Empire's territory under the cover of darkness. Using their advanced cloaking technology, they'd managed to sneak past the Empire's defenses, evading patrols and security systems. Their goal was clear: get to the command center, sabotage the Empire's communication networks, and get out before they were discovered. As they made their way through the flagship's corridors, they encountered more obstacles than they had anticipated. The ship was a labyrinth of hallways, each guarded by elite soldiers and security systems. But the human team was patient, moving quietly and efficiently, neutralizing guards when necessary and staying one step ahead of the Empire's forces. Finally, they reached the command center. It was heavily guarded, but the team had planned for this. They activated their EMP disruptors, causing a temporary blackout that allowed them to slip past the final line of defense. With swift precision, they planted their devices, hacking into the Empire's communication systems and severing their connection to the rest of the fleet. For a few moments, the team felt a rush of victory. They had succeeded in their mission, and the Empire's fleet was now isolated, unable to coordinate its movements. But their success was short-lived. The Empire quickly realized something was wrong, and the alarms began blaring across the flagship. The team had to escape, and fast. With the entire ship on high alert, the humans fought their way back to their shuttle, engaging in fierce battles with Empire soldiers. It was a race against time, as they knew the Empire would soon launch a counterattack. But through sheer determination and skill, the team managed to escape, returning to their fleet with their mission accomplished. The impact of their success was immediate. The Empire's fleet, now without communication, was thrown into chaos. Ships that had once moved in perfect coordination were now operating blindly, making mistakes, and leaving themselves open to attack. The human forces, though still outnumbered, launched a series of coordinated strikes, hitting vulnerable targets and breaking apart the Empire's once unbreakable fleet. The victory was not complete, but it was a significant blow to the Empire's war machine. For the first time in the war, the humans had struck at the very core of the Empire's power. They had shown that, even in the face of overwhelming odds, they could outsmart and outmaneuver the mightiest force in the galaxy. The Empire was reeling, but it was far from defeated. They would regroup, they would fight back, and they would try to reclaim their lost power. But the humans had proven something important. They were no longer the underdogs. They were a force to be reckoned with, and the Empire's days of easy conquest were coming to an end. The war was far from over, but the humans had taken a giant step toward winning it. The war between the Galactic Empire and humanity had reached a crucial moment. After months of fierce fighting, the humans had proven they were more than capable of defending their planet and their way of life. The Empire, once so confident in its power, now found itself on the defensive. But this was not the end. The Empire would never accept defeat so easily. It was preparing for its final, all-out assault on Earth, the heart of the human resistance. General Chris, who had once believed that the Empire's victory was inevitable, had seen his plans falter at every turn. The humans had outsmarted him, and their resourcefulness had caused significant damage to the Empire's war machine. Yet the Empire's arrogance was still strong. They were determined to bring an end to the rebellion, to crush humanity once and for all. Humanity, however, had something the Empire could not understand: a burning desire to survive, to protect their home and their families. The humans knew this was the final battle, the one that would decide everything. They had won small victories, but they had not yet destroyed the Empire's ability to fight back. This was the last chance for them to turn the tide completely. Commander Alana Reyes and her team had been at the forefront of the Resistance's victories, and now they were called upon to lead the final stand. Alana had seen firsthand how the humans could rise up against overwhelming odds. She knew that, while the Empire's fleet was vast and its weapons were powerful, they were not invincible. The humans had fought with heart, ingenuity, and a relentless will to protect their world, and that was what made them stronger than any weapon. The human fleet, though battered and scarred from months of warfare, had been steadily reinforced. New ships, new fighters, and new technology had given them a fighting chance. More importantly, humanity had the advantage of knowing their enemy. The Empire had underestimated the human spirit for too long. Now it would pay the price. As the final battle approached, the human forces gathered in Earth's orbit, preparing for the inevitable assault. The Empire's fleet was already on its way. Massive ships, powerful weapons, and an overwhelming force. General Chris was determined to wipe out humanity in one decisive blow. He had no doubt that the humans would be crushed beneath the weight of the Empire's might. But the humans had one last surprise up their sleeves. Alana and her team had spent weeks preparing a daring plan, one that would strike directly at the Empire's heart. They would not face the Empire head-on in a traditional battle. Instead, they would infiltrate the Empire's flagship, the largest and most powerful ship in the fleet, and destroy it from within. The plan was risky. The flagship was heavily guarded, and it was surrounded by an entire fleet of Empire warships. But if they succeeded, it would cripple the Empire's ability to fight. Without their flagship, the Empire would be lost, its fleet scattered and leaderless. This was humanity's best chance at victory. The team, composed of the most skilled soldiers and operatives, was ready for the final mission. They would board the Empire's flagship, sabotage its core systems, and disable its weaponry. It was a one-way mission. If they failed, they would not make it out alive. But for the humans, there was no other choice. It was the only way to end the war. As the team made its way toward the flagship, the battle raged around them. The human fleet engaged the Empire's ships in a fierce dogfight, trying to buy time for the mission to succeed. Ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light as both sides fought with everything they had. The humans knew that this was their last chance, and they fought with all their might. Meanwhile, Alana and her team had infiltrated the flagship, using the cover of the chaos to slip inside. They moved quickly through the corridors, avoiding detection by the Empire's soldiers. Their mission was clear: reach the core of the ship, plant the explosives, and get out before the entire flagship was torn apart. As they neared the core, they encountered fierce resistance. Empire soldiers, alerted to their presence, launched a brutal counterattack. The humans fought back with everything they had, knowing that the future of their world depended on this mission. The battle was intense, but they pressed on, determined to finish what they had started. Finally, they'd reached the core. Alana and her team planted the explosives, setting the timer. But they were not done yet. The Empire's forces were closing in, and the team knew they had no time to lose. With the explosives set, they made a quick escape, fighting their way through the flagship as the countdown ticked away. Outside, the human fleet continued to engage the Empire's forces. The final moments of the battle were a blur of flashing lights and explosions as both sides fought desperately. The humans were outnumbered, but they had something the Empire could not match: their resolve. They fought not for power, but for survival. They fought for their homes, for their families, and for the future of their species. As the countdown reached its final seconds, the flagship of the Empire exploded in a tremendous blast, sending shockwaves through the battlefield. The explosion was so powerful that it disrupted the entire Empire fleet. Ships lost power, their commanders confused and disoriented. The loss of their flagship was catastrophic for the Empire. Without its leader, the Empire's fleet was in chaos. The human forces seized the opportunity. They launched a final, all-out attack, taking advantage of the Empire's disarray. One by one, the Empire's ships fell, their commanders unable to coordinate their efforts. The humans, now united and resolute, fought with everything they had, pressing the attack until the last of the Empire's forces retreated. The war was over. The Empire had been defeated. Humanity had won. As the dust settled, Alana and her team returned to Earth. They were greeted as heroes. but they knew that their victory was not just theirs. It belonged to every human who had fought, who had sacrificed, and who had refused to give up. The war was over, but the story of humanity's triumph over the Empire would be remembered for generations to come. The humans had warned the Empire to run. And now, the galaxy knew. Humanity was a force that could not be ignored. The future belonged to them.